Hello there, it's really lovely to see you. I'm John and welcome. Welcome to my living room, and I'm just really grateful to be here with you. First video of the year. Normally at this time of the year, if you look back through the videos from, however long, usually around about now, there'll be a video of myself sitting next to the Ganges at Rishikesh, and I tell you kind of what the coming year looks like in terms of our offerings, my offerings through the work, and well, not sitting by the Ganges. But even though I'm not by the Ganges, I hope you're okay. I know these are really, really strange times the world over, but here we are, here we are in our hearts. And for those of you who have a practice, we have something that you can't really describe to other people because you've got your practice. And some people kind of mistake that for a kind of an attempt to get somewhere. And that's natural that you would do that, for the first kind of, 10 million years or something. Because the first 10 million years are always the worst. Then the second 10 million years, well, they're the worst as well. But but eventually you kind of click somehow that the practice is the being here, the being now, not as some kind of like magical thinking, but just being here. And then our hearts are kind of completely available and we live from our souls. So I thought I'd do a kind of little roundup video for you, or kind of a roundup in advance of what kind of like the next actually 2 or 3 years might look like. And I want to kind of ask your help a little bit as well. But I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know how you are. I'd love to kind of, get some comments from you about just kind of where you're up to with your practice and things, how you're getting through these times at the moment, because they're bonkers times. And the world appears to be in a kind of a limbo, not just with kind of what's going on with the kind of the American situation, though for the life of me, I can't understand why nobody ever acts, that nobody ever moves, and what we mistake for action is often madness, and we've seen that recently. But that things are kind of just let be as they are, and we're always told that change is going to come and change takes time and this and that and the other, and it's not just America, it's everywhere. And all we seem to get is, I don't know, more. More of whatever there was that isn't what we really want. And so part of one's practice is to kind of start living that for real. The kind of the allowing change to actually occur, for the soul to sort of manifest into the world rather than the things that we've been seeing for a long time. Another thing that we've seen in the last few weeks, although those of us in this strange line of work, or some of us anyway, kind of recognize it, is that a lot of what has passed for spirituality for a long, long time is nothing more than the kind of deification of the ego. People believing that they read a few books and watch a few videos on YouTube about something, and because they then think they know that, then they are that, and they can use that name, I am a this and I am a that and I am a this. And the minute you hear the words I am a, and it's kind of backed up with a kind of a sense of entitlement that kind of just radiates outwards, run for your life, Charlie, run for your life. So yeah, I've made myself a green juice. Sorry, I've just got all these thoughts. I did actually make some notes, but kind of whatever notes I make, everything always ends up random. Here's a green juice recipe for you, which isn't on my list of things to tell you about. This is what I'm sipping this morning. This is 2 Pink Lady apples, a head of celery, almost like a double shot of homegrown fresh wheatgrass, decent sized piece of turmeric, haldi, decent sized piece of adrak, ginger. Anything else in there? Bit of distilled water, just to kind of, I always put a bit of water through the juicer just at the end, and I distill my water for drinking, so that just to kind of clean it through a little bit, because there's always some good green stuff in there as well. So yeah, very simple juice: wheatgrass, celery, apple, turmeric, ginger, and love, of course. Fabulous. So yeah, we're not trying to get somewhere. We're allowing ourselves to be here, and yet for that being not to be some static state, but actually allowing for change, allowing for action, allowing for movement, and allowing for community as well, you know. And I'm so grateful to you in your sense of community, those of you who join me here and on Insight Timer and Wellness Coach and so on, the classes there. And I'm just loving all your kind of comments and, you know, your appreciation of the poetries that we share and meditations and all that sort of thing, you know. So it's really amazing. And this channel, this YouTube channel particularly, has kind of boosted kind of hugely in the last few months. We're kind of not 10,000, but kind of, you know, for me that's a lot. And but we're kind of on the way there. But what I've noticed is the gods of the algorithm have kind of spotted that. So the numbers are kind of gone really slow now, you know. So I guess things are not being shared around in the same way, because I don't know what benefits reach you when you've got 10,000 followers, but maybe some magical YouTube light has to shine on you or something. So yeah, let me know how you are. Let me know how you're getting along. I'm so grateful for your comments, your follows. For those of you who are kind of on the Insight course, which is coming up to 17,000 people now, well, the kind of the adult course, the Self-Acceptance Through Authenticity course, it's coming up to 17,000 students. Many of you join me live, both on Insight Timer and on Wellness Coach, and I love that as well. One thing that I really want to kind of do this year is to kind of, all that material is kind of out in other people's baskets in a way, and that's great because it affords me an income, which has been nice to see that actually kind of sustain through this year. Having grown up kind of, you know, poor Irish boy, poor half Indian, half Irish boy kind of thing, it's actually really nice that there's an income, which is not something I've really ever had before. So that's really quite fascinating. And I think it's still got some way to go. We're kind of filling in the holes of things at the minute, like, you know, oh gosh, you know, we could actually buy a new, you know, something, which has been a miracle this year. Of course, the tax man has now spotted that one has a better income, so is kind of making me do a merry dance. But yeah. But I'm just so grateful, you know, because you turning up in those classes means I get to live. I get to share this wonderful material with you. But, you know, more than that, it's not a load of stuff that I've learned. It's just soul to soul. That's all that it is, really, just soul to soul. And it's always you in your own life. You know, that's how I operate. But I have a really strong feeling that the time is coming where, while those external things are wonderful, I've really got to start kind of allowing it to kind of feed in towards a kind of a central hub, because you don't know whether those things will still be there in a year's time or 3 years' time or 5 years' time. Things look permanent and then they're not, you know, and we believe in things and then they're not. So while I have enormous gratitude for them, I really feel like a kind of a necessity of building a base much more clearly, where the kind of the winds of change, those changes, those relative changes, kind of don't affect us sort of in the same sort of way should and when they come, because they do come, you know. And maybe that's something that you would care to reflect on in your own life as well. So something I'd like to ask of you, as I kind of tell you about what I'm thinking for the next few years, is just through your comments or whatever, or you can always pop me a line. We have a new PO box now. You'll have to have a look on the website, but I think it's PO Box 137, Hebden Bridge, HX8, and I can't remember the last bit. But I love getting letters and writing letters back to people. If you just have a look on the website on the contact bit, authenticliving.life contact, the address is there, because that means I can take a bit more time, reply to people properly and so on. But I'd love just to for you to tell me, what you'd like to see over the next few years in terms of content. Am I getting it right? If I'm getting it wrong, I'm open to all of it, and there's no defensiveness here at all, as long as you understand that what the intention is, or what is kind of driving this, which is just kind of the drive towards awakening, the drive towards soul, and wanting others to be able to kind of access that within themselves. Yeah. And I'm hopeful that in time I can kind of get a team of like maybe 5 or 6 people, drawn from those who sit with me, just to kind of help me steer a little bit. One friend who I'm amazed to find out, sort of student friend, has got is a marketing expert, for example. I've only just discovered this, and kind of wants to help me see that stuff, I really could do with somebody who's kind of clear about business management and growth and stuff like that as well, because I just do not have a clue. I'm just a meditator and somebody who writes books. That's it. And I share those things with you, and I share those discoveries and benefits with you as clearly as I can. Anyway, so this is where the next year is going, or the next 2 to 3 years are going. As far as I can see at the moment, things may change, of course. So the first thing is that I've started to look for an office, because I think we need a physical location, just to literally do things like have the video studio stuff and the recording stuff set up kind of permanently, rather than it kind of taking over half my tiny little house. Every time I have to kind of do a class, or kind of want to have a meditation or something, lights and laptop and cameras and kind of microphones and wires, so many wires. So it'd be nice to kind of set that up one time in a nice place, and just kind of be able to have it there. And we're in a position now where an office is affordable to us, so that's an amazing thing. So that seems like an absolute necessity. In the long term, I think it'd be really lovely to kind of take that even further and have a place where people can come for retreats and things like that. But I don't like the model that's out there, kind of because it's based in kind of rampant kind of exploitation of people a lot of the time, and it's just kind of just seems kind of crazy. So I always have to do everything my own way, the way my own soul tells me. I don't just go joining in with things. Obviously, as you know, we didn't get our 2 retreats in Greece last year. There were meant to be 2 retreats in Greece, one in May, one in September. Both those went to the wall because of the world situation as it is right now, and I'm still not clear whether there'll be any physical retreats this year. There's one supposedly booked in for May at our same venue in Greece. It is just such a beautiful place. And the people who run the centre have become my friends over this year, because we've stayed in touch, and they've been so honest and kind and not pressured me about money and things like that. Absolutely amazing. So, and we've just been kind of very sort of shanty about it all, and, supportive of each other, because they've got their own stuff too. They just don't have people coming. So, So there may be and there may not be. Regardless of that, I think in the autumn, I'm going to do a kind of an online retreat in quite a different way, in that it will be, instead of being like a day or a pair of days where there's tons of information and you feel like you've got to kind of take stuff in and it's intense, I want to kind of have like a couple of hours a week for 6 weeks, which kind of gives us 42 days of practice. And so the whole 6 weeks is the retreat. You practice in your own time with regular little things to do each day, different meditations and stuff like that, all based around the idea of kind of developing personal practice, sadhana, as I would call it. So that's a kind of follow-on from the Sun in Your Heart retreat from last year, 2020, which we did in a kind of day. We're going to kind of move that sideways, and that's going to become an annual thing. And then, of course, people from all over the world can join, and we can make it much more reasonable because it's, not kind of a huge intensity, and we can open it up a lot further. So, excuse me. So there's that. Obviously, the 2 books are coming out. So the book So, which is my selected new poems 2011 to 2021, comes out hopefully in the springtime. I've seen the typesetting and I'm just about to approve that in the next couple of days and just let the publisher know. I've also been sent a selection of covers that the team have been working on, and we've picked one of those. So maybe next time, or maybe the one after that we chat this way, I can actually do a cover reveal. That would be really lovely, wouldn't it? Just to kind of show you the images. It's all not allowed at all at the moment. The spiritual book, for want of a better word, is still on track for coming out kind of Christmas-ish time 2021 with Watkins. Cannot tell you the title, cannot tell you what it's about, but what I can tell you is I'm at 55,000 words on a really good working draft. I think there's some kind of bits that will need sort of sorting out, but I'm probably just a few weeks away now from sending it to my editor, and then she'll take a look at it. I'll take a month off from writing, and then it's rewrites, and it has to be with them for the summer in order to kind of do all the kind of typesetting and prep and kind of get it out. But they'll have a good idea of it by then, and that's all kind of running in the background. And so the poetry book comes out sometime in the spring. As soon as I know that, I'll let you know. That's with Crocus Books. And the spiritual book, which it's on the tip of my tongue to tell you the title of it, comes out December. And I can't wait. As soon as I'm free of drafting on the book, when I say the book, I mean book number 8, the spiritual book. I always call them numbers. All my books are just numbers in my head. So that, to me, the poetry book is number 7, the spiritual book is number 8, because that'll be my 8th book. Whether there'll be more books after this, I don't know. I'm not pursuing that as a way of trying to be somebody. It's likely that there will be, and we shall see. But once I've actually finished the main work on writing the spiritual book, and it's kind of done, and it's in the kind of the process, which should be around about August or so, I actually have a bunch of ideas for courses that I want to kind of record, because I've just not been able to put a course out this year. And so that's where my attention will turn. So if you have any suggestions for courses, or anything you'd like to see, then let me know. I have like 5 or 6 different ideas already, enough to kind of at least, for the next 2 or 3 years. And then I also think that there's material from the book that would convert to courses or be presentable in certain ways that look like courses. In 2022, of course, once that book comes out, if the world is moving more by then, I want to get around the world come and meditate with you in your cities, talk about the book, talk about material from the book, take ideas from it and share it as retreats and things like that. And yeah, I'm desperate to walk the earth and sit with people, quite honestly. So that would just be really lovely. Just two more things. Something I'm going to try and do this year. I don't know whether I'll manage it because my digital distribution seems very slow. But, you know, I noodle away at music kind of quietly for my own kind of pleasure. And I have done since I was a teenager. If St. Vincent had been in David Bowie's band and they were making kind of Brian Eno-esque sort of music, that's kind of where my kind of taste in playing lies. I'm not a technical player, but I kind of go off for that kind of more avant-garde sort of style of things, although my taste in music is kind of, you know, very wide indeed. So I've got a new single coming out, hopefully on the full moon of this month, on the 28th, and it will be called Chandra, which means the moon. And hopefully then, every full moon through this year, I will release a piece of music. I've got about 30 demos of stuff I've kind of worked up over the last few years. And it was always meant to come together into an album called Moon Rituals. I've actually listened to iterations for this for a long time on my phone, in the car, on the iPod and so on. But I'd like to really finish some of these things off. So Chandra is the first piece. We did a kind of big remixing session a couple of weeks ago and kind of reamped the basses and so on and made it very nice. And how can I describe Chandra to you? If you can imagine the Cocteau Twins, right, without the singing. There's a couple of EPs of theirs, one called Tiny Dynamite, one called Echoes in a Shallow Bay, that I just absolutely love. So imagine that kind of Cocteau Twins vibe, but again, instead of Elizabeth Fraser singing on top, you've got kind of Brian Eno and St. Vincent doing a little kind of guitar thing together. It might be something a bit like that. So yeah, and then for the piece for February, Pages, I think it will be a piece called Pages. That's really kind of mellow, sort of organic, kind of electronic piece. And some of you, if you've listened to the children's course, Magical Moments, on Insight Timer, you've heard it already because it's hidden away in there. So yeah, but it's different from the Continuum track, which is on the adult course. And what's the last thing I want to tell you? Books, courses, yes. The last one's a big one, of course. How can I forget this? I'm thinking of creating some teacher training around meditation. I see a lot of... I see where I can contribute. Let me just put it that way. I see where I can contribute to much more solid and meaningful practices. And I can't be the one who gets around everybody. And I'm not hugely well known. And I'm not really kind of pursuing that in a way. You know, I just... The things that make people kind of attractive in the media, I'm not it. So I've got my integrity and my authenticity, and my soul shines out, and that brings some people into me. And you know me, I talk very straightforwardly about things, so that brings people to me. But you know, I don't have the blonde hair or the cleavage, you know, although I'm working on a bit of a man cleavage thing. So yeah, I don't look like a kind of spiritual person as kind of has been formed by the media idea of a spiritual person, nor would I want to ever call myself that either. So take me out and kind of take me for a walk. But yeah, I'm thinking of creating like 4 levels of teacher training. so that, somebody who was kind of, maybe already a kind of a yoga teacher with a kind of a few hours, not a few hours, but, a few hundred hours in place in their kind of training, but had kind of remained a student and was still learning. I know, for example, that the meditation training on most yoga courses is woefully unhelpful. It tends to be covered in a day and then discarded for asana practice quite quickly. So that would be like a kind of level 1 sort of thing. So I'd be probably looking for people who've been kind of practicing yoga or meditation for sort of 4 or 5 years, who want to kind of have a couple of really solid basic practices that genuinely benefit themselves and their students. And then we could kind of almost like kind of go up from there, really, to kind of people who are kind of much further on with things and want kind of, kind of like the deeper practices. So we could kind of go through levels 1 to 4 and create kind of a manuals and all sorts of ways of kind of working with that as well, so that people feel like they've got an actual solid grasp of kind of what they're doing, and can offer something of kind of highest meaning to their students. So that's kind of my thinking. That might be, I think I've got a lot on this year, so that might be kind of next year that we bring that in. So we'll get the retreats going, online, then maybe some teacher training, get an office, and so on and so on and so on. No need to repeat myself with it all. So yeah, so not by the Ganges, but full of love in my heart and gratitude for you, and just really happy to be here with you. Lots of love. You take great care of yourself. Do pop me a comment. Let me know how you are. And I do need to share some poetry and things here on the YouTube before too long. So yeah, we'll do that. But stay in touch. I'm going to do a newsletter today. So if you're not on our newsletter list, again, jump on authenticliving.life, the website, and just kind of sign up for the newsletter, and you'll be in the loop. This video is going to be part of the newsletter, which is why I wanted to do it this morning. Lots of love to you. We're going up to nearly 30 minutes, which is way too long. You take care of yourself, won't you? Lots of love.